Hello, and thank you for downloading this episode of Discussing Documentaries with my friend Rick Wharton and me, Matt Wills.
What happened there? It sounded like you fell off your chair just before.
I did. I had
talking.
to move the chair because I've been relaxed because we were chatting.
I looked away for 2 seconds to check the sound levels. It sounded like, do you know in Shawshank when he kicks the stool away, Brooks from the. I was like, what the fuck was that?
Oh, that is definitely in your future. Yeah, I'll give you that. So this one, it's picked by Rick. Initially, I thought he was being. I think Rick's gone for the easy route because he's gone for another Untold one. But then I watched it, and Rick, you picked a hell of a documentary, mate. You've picked a fucking hell of a documentary.
This is a great series.
This is a great series. You're right. This is the second one in Untold. What was the first one? That was
Malice at the Palace.
Yeah. So this one is called Crime and Penalties from the year 2021. It's on Netflix. The directors were the Way brothers, so Chapman Way and Macklin Way. That's some weird-ass names, isn't it? Their money's too soon, accolades too soon, and here's the blurb so we can get into it. They could have been anything that they wanted to be. And it's got a great soundtrack as well. I'm singing that all day.
I was going to say that. The soundtrack to this, there's Bugsy Malone and 96 Quiet Little Bit of Beans. Fucking excellent soundtrack.
It's brilliant. And, okay, here's the blurb. They were the bad boys of hockey, a team bought by a man with mob ties, run by his 17-year-old son, and with a reputation for being as violent as they were good. This is the story of the Danbury Trashers. And it is a story, right? Here's what it's got. It's got crows circling in the beginning, which Rick loves a crow circling. It's got sports and mobsters, which I'm going to love. And it's got the real Tony Soprano, James Galante. And who didn't love Tony Soprano, as bad as he was? And we will be laughing at quite violent people here. But, and sorry, I'm not laughing at them.
The soundtrack wins you over, to be honest.
Yeah, the
soundtrack wins you over 100%. You put the Bugsy Malone soundtrack on there. There's some stuff coming up in it, like I'll mention later. But first thing I want to say is, if you haven't watched this one before listening to us and you have access to Netflix, go and watch it. This is a fucking phenomenal hour.
It's a great hour and 20 minutes. It's superb. Because I've been so damaged by late because of the AJ the Patreon pick and just the other stuff like the Nielsen. What did we watch? She picked the Nielsen tapes. We've watched some dark stuff of late.
Yeah, you're halfway through season 1 of Making a Murderer.
Making a Murderer, yeah, which is dragging me down. But it's dragging me down a bit, but it's still very good. But this one, oh mate, I was there. What's not to love? Beautiful, beautiful sports people, mobsters. And real life mobsters as well, not your telly shit, like proper fucking gangsters, right? Who kill people and set shit alight. Yeah.
But they were basically saying how The Sopranos was set on Jimmy Galante. And even that, Jimmy Galante is just a mobster name. And he's got the mobster hair. He's it's the footage they have is phenomenal. And so basically his son, it shows you how much he loves his son. His son gets into hockey and then Jimmy Galante goes to jail. So Jimmy Galante is away, and it's very well stated that he's not a rat. So he did the long sentence,
he did his time.
As opposed to turning over and making a deal. So to overcompensate, AJ becomes the bad boy of his high school team until he gets injured. So his dad comes out of jail. He gets injured.
Yeah.
And the next scene, I don't know what the timeline is between, but the way it's put together in the documentary is he gets injured. He goes into school the next day and everyone's being like, that's amazing news. He's like, what's going on? And he's just like, well, you're the GM of the new Danbury Trashers, the hockey team. Jimmy Galante, by the way, runs the sanitation in where is it, Connecticut?
It's Connecticut, yeah. And
Connecticut,
for part of New York as well.
And for part of New York, so... yeah, it is The Sopranos.
He is Tony Soprano. Yeah, they run a trash company. Even Tony Soprano's kid in The Sopranos is called AJ, right? And it is now. This is a mob-based documentary, And these people, what do you mean these people? These people are still alive. So me and Rick, I mean, we're respectful people anyway, but we are going to be more respectful, than normal, just because, well, first of all, Jimmy Galante seems like a top bloke, right? And you wouldn't want to fuck with him. And he said, right, he quoted, he said, let's just say I can look myself in the eye. Now, that doesn't mean you haven't done bad things. It just means you're all right with it. I've done bad things, right, to people. I'm not all right with it. I can't always look myself in the eye.
It's the way he says it. He says, some things went on. A little of this, a little of that.
It reminds me of, right, so my dad's a panel beater, so he was in the car game. And some of his mates were a bit like that, right? You had that feeling. Like, I think Dodgy Dennis got 3 years for fraud. My dad's other mate got pulled in. Have you ever heard of the Brinks Mat robbery?
No.
Right, it was like Britain's largest ever robbery, like after the Great Train robbery. My dad's mate got pulled for that. They were like, "We know you done it." And he's like, "No, look, I have got an Arctic full of nicked jeans, but I didn't do the gold. I didn't nick any of that gold." And these people just reminded me of some of my dad's mates. And I don't know if it was all piss and vinegar with them, but they sounded like my dad's mates sounded like made men. There's a feeling of loveliness that I got nostalgic watching this documentary. Oh, it's like me dad and his mates.
What made me laugh is, so they're showing you, like, AJ hangs out at the sanitation yard a lot with his dad, bringing him drinks and stuff. And it shows he set up his own lemonade stand in the yard. And, like, this is Fat Tony's son with a lemonade stand. And you just know they're giving him duffel bags worth of cash for a 25-cent lemonade. It just... Someone's just like, hey, Jimmy Two Times didn't buy a lemonade today. He's like, yeah, I'll talk to Jimmy Two Times.
Jimmy Two Times now has a limp.
Hey, you know what's going on with that thing over there? Yeah, it's sorted.
What are you going to do? The motherfucker's Samoan.
And AJ says he first started to realise that he wasn't being raised the same as everyone else. When he's at school and everyone's like, so what lessons have you learned over the summer? And people are like, don't get in cars with strangers, don't accept sweets from strangers. And he's like, you don't fucking rat on anybody.
You be a stand-up guy.
And it shows you how he doted on his thing. And now this is something that blew my mind. So it shows you all his birthday parties and stuff. And then how he likes wrestling. So they get wrestlers. I knew you would love this. It's not the fact they got wrestlers to turn up to the party. It's
the wrestlers they got.
Which wrestlers? Now, WWE is based in Connecticut. That's the interesting point to behold. So, like, there will be ties to the McMahons in some way. They will have crossed paths at these function raises and things like that.
Good knowledge.
So that's a Connecticut company. And so they get, like, and this is 97, 98, 99. I'm looking at the year because they had The Rock, Triple H.
Yes.
The two, like, other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's like, son, I know you like football. Here's Bobby Moore, Alan Shearer, and Cristiano Ronaldo's popping in for a cup of tea for your dinner. It's amazing they get these people to show up. Fuck knows how many duffel bags. Like, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's being investigated for fraud when this documentary comes out, because I guarantee that is...
Was he?
No, I'm saying he will do, because
I'm with you. Yeah.
There is no way that is a legitimate payment for fucking Billy Gunn, maybe's. All right, Mr. Ass, who was there in his sunglasses, I can imagine has to guarantee a few birthday parties. The fucking Rock in the late 90s is not guaranteed a kid's birthday party.
And he looks great, right? He looks proper young. What I liked about Jimmy Galante was when he just said, I was in the trash business. We collected trash and it just took off. And that's all I'm going to say on it. Well, we're not asking you to say anymore, are we, Jimmy? Okay.
Well, there's a thing later. So, like, Ed Adams, I think he was called, the FBI organised crime. He was the part of the guys who brought down John Gotti, and he was part of the task force to look into Jimmy. And it's the Genevieve's family that Jimmy controls, is the old crime family. Allegedly, Jimmy. Don't worry, I got your back.
You're a great bloke, Jimmy. We love you. Very funny. And everybody talks so well of Jimmy, right? And you're like, well, not that many people. Even the what was his name? Richard Broser, who was the commissioner of the Hockey League.
Well,
just spoke so highly of Jimmy. No one had a bad word to say against Jimmy. Did you notice that? Now, I don't know, was that fear-based, or do you think he really is a stand-up, like, proper guy?
Well, I think, look at the way we're talking. Of course it's fucking fear-based. Jesus, bro.
We're a long way away.
Because Broser comes in, he's like a short, stout, New Yorkie type, and the hockey team they purchase is in the UHL, which is the league below the NHL.
It's like the equivalent of the championship, is the way I took it.
Yeah.
For that region of America.
And he turns around and they all get on because he's a ball breaker and they have a laugh.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, you're not going to make a mockery out of this fucking sport, all right? And there is a funny flip as that goes on because he's like, all right, this kid looks like a fucking... It says a 17-year-old GM who's got the big gold chains and the backwards hat. Yeah. He's walking out with a WWE title belt.
He called him a punk, didn't he? He went, this kid just looked like a punk, a proper punk.
And then they announced the team, so he goes, and he's still on the crutches from his injury. So from not being able to play anymore, he's still on his crutches as he's been announced as the GM.
Yes.
And do you see who introduced him?
No.
The mayor of Danbury introduced him to the podium. How fucking great is that? So they got the mayor there going, please welcome your established GM. The guy comes up backwards hat, talking to the class for the first time. Fucking, I loved AJ throughout this. He was cracking me up all the way through.
Oh, he was awesome. His accident as well. He said, to this day, I don't know the exact diagnosis. I just know it was fucked up. He was a proper character. All of them were. Every single person in this documentary was a character.
And the way they go about it, they went, we want to get the biggest name in hockey. Now, so what they do is they sign Gretzky, the greatest hockey player of all time.
All time. Even I know Gretzky, right?
Exactly. He's the Michael Jordan of hockey. He's the LeBron
James.
He's the dude. So they sign Brent Gretzky, the brother.
His brother.
And there's like 7, because they talk about it a lot on the Wrestling Review podcast, because they're Canadians. There's like 12 Gretzkys.
Shit, really?
2 or 3 of them went to the NHL, and obviously Wayne's the guy. And there is a statistic where they are the highest scoring brothers of all time, and the other brother has only like scored 2 goals.
Oh, beautiful! Because Wayne Gretzky is so great. Yeah. Well, his dad would put him on. His dad put an ice rink outside his house so that he could practice outside. And he would go, Dad, I'm going to come in. And he went, no, just a couple of more hours, boy. And Wayne Gretzky would be like, okay, Dad. And he would just carry on practicing for a couple of more hours. But he hasn't just got the greatest number of goals. I think he's also got the greatest number of assists. He's got basically his stats are off the charts compared to every other player in every area as well. He is a beautiful all-rounder. He's not just a goal scorer. He is a machine.
And so then they start to look at other people. So he's just like, I need help to set up this team. So he goes and gets his middle school hockey coach. And they're going, he just remembered this guy, big, tall guy. And I think middle school, you're like between 9 and 11, maybe.
Yeah.
And he's going, and this guy was just smashing kids through the ice. He is just beating the fuck out of children on this hockey rink.
Did I smash a few kids into the wall? Yes, I did.
And he says the Dave Chappelle line of cocaine's a hell of a drug. And this guy's never got a cigar in his mouth. He's a fucking nutcase.
And he looks like, for those of us who are a certain age, he's the Kojak. Smile on his face. Yeah, he's Kojak. Yeah. Telly Savalas. His name is Tommy T-Bone Pomposello. And he is a proper...
Tommy T-Bone Pomposello. Like, Jesus.
Hey, T-Bone!
I love how mobbed up this is. And there is a little bit of an over-glamorization of the mob and organised crime and that. But this, since you grew up watching Goodfellas, Casino, Sopranos...
Of course, yeah.
This is fucking hilarious. And the idea of this coked-up PE teacher's just, like, decking children on the fucking field. It's unbelievable.
And what do you need for the mob to be great, right? Because the mob are the bad guys. So you need some good guys. And obviously, because it's sort of flipped a bit. So you're not rooting for the FBI here. You're rooting for the mob. But the first thing we learn when the FBI come in is they are classically FBI people. Because the first thing they do is they have a meeting. They have a meeting because they need a name for the project of what they're going to do to take down this family. It's McMillions all over again.
It's hilarious, isn't it? Because they inflate the need for that because they call it a code name, not even an operations name. It's a code name. And they call it the Pale Rider because of a Clint Eastwood movie, which to me, it's not even linked to the operation they're doing. That's like going, I know what we're going to call it. We're going to take down these tax havens and cut across some organised crime. What are you going to call it? Infinity War. I watched it yesterday. Could I be codenamed Thanos, please?
But I'm wondering, do they pick them? And it's whether they've already been chosen already. So like, okay, we're going to call it Look Who's Talking. No, that's already gone. Ah, shit. Okay.
All right. It's a train robbery. All right. Back from paternity leave, Rick. How are you doing? We're going to call it Thomas the Tank Engine Robber.
And if you want to know what we're talking about on McMillions, that is on our Patreon. So how about a quick word from our sponsors? That's myself, Rick, and all our Patreon pals. Jump on, find the links in the show notes, click on the Patreon link, and you can get access to what I think is one of the greatest documentary series I've ever seen, which was McMillions.
You can get access to us talking about one of the greatest documentary series of all time. That's
why they're here, Rick. That's why they're here.
Right. with the Patreon, listen, it's £5 a month to get access to the feed. Check the feed out, and then once you've listened to it all, you can cancel it. All support is appreciated. But yeah, back to this. So they then go into a little bit of Jimmy Galante's other side, which does make me think a little bit, because it is awesome, and you're rooting for them. And they're like, yeah, and then there was another guy trying to run a garbage truck in Connecticut, so they kidnapped him and set his van on fire. And just imagine this guy just watching this documentary going, they literally stamped on my face for an hour. They put me in my trunk and doused me in gasoline.
It would be like me and you being running out the podcast game because
Joe Rogan wants to talk about making a murderer.
Rogan, yeah.
Just sends a couple of undercard UFC fighters and I'm like, guys, have it.
Yeah. Are you John Cena? I'm out. Okay, thanks.
So
and then they hire the best.
1 second. It's the way they hire this guy. So it's the coked up PE teacher. Turns around and he says, like, I need someone to do this, and he goes, I've got a player for you, and he pulls out a Polaroid of a player in a jumpsuit in handcuffs,
orange jumpsuit in handcuffs. And yeah.
The whole branding of the team is the evil empire, the bad guys, and
bad boys,
the bad boys of it. So they show him this picture of like Billy Bedlam from fucking Con Air, and they run off his. They run off his fucking rap sheet, and it's just like he just beat up 6 correctional officers, and then Brad Wingfield. Then they go for another player, and he should be in the NHL, but he had a horrific accident where someone's skate went through his eye, so they signed One-Eyed Willie.
Yeah. And that was on his first ever day, right? It broke his heart. And the second he heard about the Danbury Trashers, I'm a trasher. He's like, I'm in. When they told me what they were going to do, he went, I was in straight away. How can you turn that down?
So you get sent tapes of players by agents for who they want to sign them. And one of them's just labelled the Nigerian Nightmare. And he's like, well, I like wrestling, so I'll check him out. And this guy's a fucking monster. And he's saying how he got the feeling for figure skating. So his mom let him do figure skating. And the funny thing about that is what he phrases next. So I think his last name's Udo, but I can't remember it. I don't want to take a point at this. So he's just like the enforcer type for the team, other than Brad Wingfield. They're all enforcers on this team.
Actually,
but he says, I got a feel for the ice of ice skating, so that really helped me out with the footwork for fighting later. Not for playing hockey. Not for playing hockey, for fighting later. And then he says, I loved Slapshot and the brothers that went everywhere, so I wanted some twins. And then they go and get in touch with these two. The two twins are brilliant talking heads because one of them's just getting pissed off at being talked over the whole time.
Constantly, yeah. The two brothers were very funny. They were very, very funny. But what I liked is AJ's inspiration when he was a kid, and the reason he fell in love with hockey was because of the Emilio Estevez film Mighty Ducks.
You can't not love the Mighty Ducks.
I've never seen it.
You can't make me lose. Oh, you'd love it, Matt. You'd buy a hockey fucking rink tomorrow.
Okay.
You'd love it.
But what I love is that, in part, all of the violence that happened is all created initially by Disney. They lit the touch paper, right? And that's what set it all off. A lovely little Disney film with Martin Sheen's brilliant son. No, gone, mate. You just ruined it. Let's beat some people up and set their shit alight.
So one of the brothers gets the call from Jimmy saying they want to sign him. They ask him what he's being paid. He says, all right, so I'm going to give you a 10K cash on the table right now. He says, and I'm going to double your wages. And then he says, if you pay my brother the same, he just had to ring his brother and say, we play for the Danbury Trashes.
Yeah.
Now.
We're in now.
Where we're at now.
And he put the money down on the table. He was like, shit. I like the way they all describe when they walked into the, it was like Stephen Avery's salvage yard, but it was for rubbish. And they walk through this huge factory that's processing rubbish.
People have actually been killed there.
Evidence would not need to be planted in this place. And they're all like, Jesus, what am I walking into? And then they come into this really plush office. Fucking hell. And then on the opening night, so their first ever game.
Just before they do, so they have one or two meetings of Brosel, the league owner. And the Brosel is laying down the law of you will not make a mockery of this league. And then it cuts to what's T-Bone, the PE teacher?
Yeah, T-Bone.
He's just cracking up going, he did not know who he was talking to.
He was a minnow in with sharks.
Yeah. Yeah, and then opening night, you got the mayor there, senators there, and this is the moment I think you're about to mention. So they're about to go out onto the ice. And Wingfield, Billy Bedlam gets handed a phone. And then they point up at Jimmy Galante in the office box.
Like a Roman emperor. He's up in the stands and he basically turns his thumb this way. And then
he calls him, he goes, the minute the puck drops, smash him. So then
he says, the minute the puck drops, I want you to release your gloves. Drop your gloves. And hit him. And yes, we are glorifying violence. But only the funny side of it. We're comedians, right? It really tickled me. It really, really did.
Just that sign and the way they did is so fucking funny and just outlandish. It's so fucking outlandish.
And the commentary, right? So they're meant to be commentating on a hockey game. But the commentators are like, oh, he's got a good right hook. He's pulled his arm back again. He's slamming his head against the ice. And you're like, what the fuck? And the commentator even went, this is incredible. And he was so pumped up about it.
Yeah, they love it. There is different sides of the hockey purists that enjoy it or don't enjoy it. And when it goes too far and they want it to be more about the sport. But it's one of the things hockey's famous for. Which is why it's a very grey area in what they're complaining about with this team.
Well, that's a good point, because the president of the league, is it Broser?
Yeah, Broser.
Right, the president of the league, Broser, said, listen, we understand in hockey that fighting is part of the game. But 8 in one night? Come on. So hang on, Broser, your problem is the number of fights. So what's the acceptable number from the hockey league's point of view then? Oh, was that? Did he say that?
Okay.
Oh, I missed that. Okay. Oh, 3 fights is all right, but 4 is just disgusting. Oh, that's ridiculous. It's either allowed or it's not.
And then Bruce was like, I was in the arena. He threatened to suspend AJ.
Yeah. Well,
AJ's like, it won't happen again. And then they kick into the Bugsy Malone soundtrack of We Could Have Been Anything that we wanted to be.
Bad boys.
And it's just them just smashing people into the ice. Like, it is... Like, you see baseball swings with the sticks into people's throats. You see, like, their heads being pounded. It's a different level.
This is how violent they all were and how rough it all got. So they banned, and this has never happened before or since, so the equipment manager, Kojak, T-Bone, they banned him because he started fucking with the opposing team. He gave them paper towels rather than towels for when they come out of the shower.
He turned off the hot water in the visitor locker room.
And that's common. That happens in the lower leagues in football, right? That's not a. They always make sure their dressing room's a bit shit because they don't want them to play great on their home territory. That makes complete sense. And the fans, and here's the difference, right? Brosa wasn't happy with it. But what is hockey, Rick? It is a bums on seats business. And the fans loved them.
This is hilarious because there is a halfway flip with Brosel because Brosel, like, you're fining you, this is not happening.
Yeah.
And in the end, and then he's going there in the 102 section. That's the section that specifically buy tickets above the bench of the away team.
Yes,
now,
so they
I've
can
seen
harass
those guys,
and abuse them.
There's like guys at the St. James's Park, whenever you get like on the day tickets, you're up in the gods near the away fans, and the people have their season tickets 3 feet away from they don't even face the field. They're just like yelling at Everton fans for 90 minutes.
But weirdly enough, so when we bought our season tickets at West Ham, the reason we bought where we were is because Paresh and his brother, they chose that place because we were next to the West Ham, next to the away fans. And then when they rearranged the whole stadium, we got fucked over. And we were not happy about it at all.
I'm the opposite. I want to be comfortable, I want to be in the middle with decent seats to watch the match, and I can go, he's good on Football Manager. I'm not the guy who wants to fucking yell over a Brentford fan that we're going to fight after the game in case he recognises me. Like, I'm not... No, I don't go for that Green Street way of life.
Oh, okay. Don't go to football with Paresh then. He loves joking around. So we nearly got our heads kicked in Liverpool because of him. I was on my crutches. I just had my hips replaced. Yeah, and he's abusing people. I went, "Oh, fucking taxi! Come on, we're out of here." So back to the fact, right? Yeah, the fans loved the team, and that changes everything, right? Once the fans are behind you, they are the 12th man, right? And it all changed the night when Brad Wingfield, and this is the guy who's been in prison who fucked up prison guards.
And again, you see him battering people throughout. Yeah. He is beating he is just there too, and he's like the big goon enforcer. He's a fucking monster. Great talking heads from him. You did.
All of them were great talking heads. They were they're all characters, right? And they're all piss takers. You can tell them. They're all piss takers. And Brad Wingfield, he seems like the loveliest fella in the world as well, doesn't he? He's like a teddy bear that can rip your eyes out.
And then it shows you, so Wingfield's against, I forget the team they're playing, but he gets his leg broke. And he goes, It was a pussy cheap shot. Pulled his jersey back and clipped it, and his leg snapped. Career-ending injury.
Yeah, it was Kalamazoo. They were playing Kalamazoo.
And Jimmy Galante goes into the locker room. And again, when you see this guy, just the polo shirt he's wearing with his watch in his hair, you're like, all right, some shit's got to go down now. And then he challenges them and says, that doesn't happen here. What are you going to do? And then they just talk about the bloodbath that ensued. So they go out, and it's the Nigerian nightmare. Just like, he's fucking suplexing people. He's chucking them up in the air. He is just absolutely destroying it. And then Jimmy Galante comes down and punches a referee.
Now, in Jimmy Galante's defense, the referee did tell him to go fuck himself. Now, I'm not saying that's a reason to punch someone in the head, but the guy needs to know who the owners are, and he's a fucking mob boss. What do you think's going to happen when you tell a mob boss to go fuck themselves? It's not going to end well for you.
There's a difference between telling Mike Ashley to go fuck himself and Roman Abramovich to go fuck himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we have royalty sat in that box at the formerly known Sports Direct Arena, and you see that fucking, the red head garb, you better believe you're not telling him to get fucked because your family's dead before you blow the whistle again.
They'll come round, they'll drop their gloves.
And then Custer Winchfield, after he punched the ref, and he goes, that just meant a lot. He didn't have to do that.
Because it's all about respect, right? Because they're stand-up guys. It's all about respect. Jimmy gets the address of
he goes to
Elazinga, the guy who broke Wingfield's leg.
He goes to Wingfield.
What do you want to happen?
And
Wingfield's like, fuck, really? You got his address? And they're like, yeah, do you want us to take care of that? And he's like, best not. Let's ease back a bit, Jimmy. What do you think?
He turns around and says, "You're lucky, you punk bitch, that I kept it on the ice." It's just like, because that would have been his house fucking firebombed. Like,
yeah, they would have killed him and his family. That's exactly what would have happened.
And then stand-up guy Jimmy gets named Italian American of the Year by a state senator.
I could not stop smiling and laughing through this whole documentary.
Like an FBI sting to me. That is codenamed Domino's fucking sting that they put on and going, how do we get all these people in the same room? I know. Italian American of the Year. They're all turned up.
Beautiful. And then the ultimate game changer for the Danbury Trashers happened because, and I bet you can put some meat on the bone here, the NHL gets cancelled for the year 2004-2005.
Yeah, the lockout.
So effectively, that means hockey fans they can't watch the top level. So they drop down a level because they're hockey fans. And the people just gravitated in their droves to the Danbury Trashers because they were so great to watch. And they were also winning shit, right?
So the lockout's an interesting thing, particularly since we almost had the inception of the Super League in football.
Right, yes.
So NHL, baseball, and NBA, they have a ring-fenced, no one enters, it's not a pyramid, that's the league, no matter what. Once you get them all in there, you can go, right, this is unfair to other teams. All the owners agree, let's have a fucking salary cap because we don't want to pay them more money than what we're doing. So then the players are stuck without being able to maximize their contracts because you can only have so many people being paid well on a team. So they all went on strike. Happened with NBA, happens with all American sports, and that is exactly what they were shaping up to do with the Super League. So they could do things like, I don't know, not have Lionel Messi leave their team.
Yes.
Like little things like that, so they could control it that way. So then they reach out to fucking Mike Rupp. What's he called? Mike Rupp?
Rupp. Who
Mike
was
Rupp.
a very successful hockey player, right?
Scored the winning goal in the Stanley Cup, so that's the equivalent of winning the Champions League. That's huge.
Yeah.
So they reach out to him, and his agent literally says he wants to pay you with a duffel bag full of cash.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Mike Rupp going, so I heard what these guys were doing, and I thought I really like what they're trying to put together. And we've skipped out that he gives the players like lakeside properties, they're treated like kings in Danbury. These guys are living like the high life,
and they are making it rain in terms of cash. So one night, the player who scored the most goals, he walked in and he went, "Here's your goal bonus," and it was 10 grand in cash. And he went, "Come on, lads, let's hit the bars." And they all go out on the piss.
There just chucking cash down. That's fucking incredible. And so then it cuts back to the FBI investigation, and they're like saying we managed to get wiretaps up, and there was a guy who is the Galetti's sales manager and also played Scrappy the trash mascot. So you've got this, like, even the guy in the fucking costume is a fixer for the mob. He puts on this big trash bin. He's like, "Come on, kids, let's whack the fucking Red Devils," or whatever he's doing.
On his dating profile, I like hockey. I like dressing up as a bin.
He fucking... it's so much like Casino. It's just like, the problem with Piscano is this guy could fuck up a cup of coffee. And he's on the phone, and he's literally going... yeah, you know that thing on Mill Road? We took care of it. It shows you like a newspaper clip of like people on fire in Mill Road.
And he said so much stuff on the phone to incriminate himself and Jimmy's crew that they then gave them permission to tap everybody's phone. They had so many people on Operation Pale Rider. If you haven't seen that film either, it is a Clint Eastwood film. It's one of his best. It's absolutely superb. It's so well done. I think he might have directed it as well. I've read the book for that. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So then that's interspliced with John Cena turning up to the hockey rink.
That's why his name's in my head.
Yeah, so they got John Cena to come down and give him a championship belt. It's just like, this is insane, the level and what they've done to this team. And then there's talking about breaking attendance records. You can see where Bros will start to realise that the UHL, this is actually a good thing for them.
Of course it is, because he has a change of heart. He went, listen, I respected
he
what AJ was
sitting in section 102.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you're one of the players getting stamped on with a skate and you look up and there's the league leader fucking having beers in section 102?
Yeah. And he said they gave him a real hard time. He goes, they said stuff that I couldn't even repeat here. He goes, they just ribbed me constantly. And he went, okay, I'm going to go sit with them then. Yeah. But listen, I don't know whether they got to Brose or not, but the fact that his change of heart around AJ and Jimmy, and he went, yeah, carry on what you're doing. Because listen, bums on seats business, right? And they were filling out that stadium. And because the NHL was frozen out, yeah, this went through the roof.
It did, and then comes, like, again, just amazing moments as well.
Yeah.
Because this could be an interesting story if it was just guys paying under the table and you had them up, but you had these narratives within the hockey that transpired. So Wingfield, who says, fuck the doctors, I decide when I retire. So he's been training like he's for a UFC fight for who comes back to town?
Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo in Erzinga is the
It
place
is Elzinga, yeah.
Elzinga. So
the leg breaker.
I gotta be honest. If I'm Elzinga, I'm not going to that match.
No, I'm phoning in sick.
I'm removing myself from that one. Yes. That's not for me. So they have footage of Erzinga, and he's just like, he's got his fists taped up, and he's just sat there rocking.
They said it was like preparing for the invading Iraqis coming in. They were getting ready. Yeah.
And it's got AJ with his GoPro filming Erzinga's face like at 4 feet away, going, "Oh, he looks so pretty, doesn't he? He's a pretty boy, Erzinga." And they even say on the voiceover, going, and you can't say anything back to AJ because then you've got that to deal with. Because
his dad's a made man. What are you going to say? Basically, and then it kicked off like a Cockney funeral. It proper fucking kicked off.
Well, he made a wrestling motivational video before the fucking thing. So he had him with the championship belt as a kid.
That's right, and the flames coming up. Yeah.
And the music and the evil empire, and they're all fucking fired up like Sparta going to war. And then the match starts, and he's just like a fucking shark as Wingfield. Billy Bedlam there. And he drops he just cross-checks him with the stick. So that's like the stick across his neck, knocks him down. And then this whole fight erupts, and they cut the feed off.
Yes,
and they had the footage of them just beating. They're down to their bare chested, just fucking hammering each other on the ice.
Well, T-Bone said this, so the kit manager, 2 warriors going at it with no shirts on. It was the most beautiful fucking thing I've ever seen.
And this is why I call it. There's a quote of Billy Bedlam in Con Air when they look at him, and Steve Buscemi goes, "Do you know moments of peace and tranquility cause him pain?" and he's literally talking it and goes, "There's a moment in the fight which is actually quite peaceful, and then after the fight, you get up and you hear the roar of the crowd, and those are just memories I'll cherish forever."
As the blood of another human being is dripping from his knuckles, he's spelling his name out in blood on the ice. Oh man, it was fucking brutal. You got to watch this documentary. It's absolutely lovely.
There is a minute wasted in it for me.
Absolutely, yeah. And do you know the beautiful thing here? What Netflix could have done, they could have dragged this out over 3.
Fuck, every 10 minutes is an hour-long episode.
Yeah, right? They could have dragged it out over a docuseries. They didn't. Bam, hour and 20 minutes. Cop that. You're constantly entertained. It's beautiful. Absolutely.
There's a 9/11 one I'm going to try and sell you on after we get off the thing that I don't know how you're going to feel about it, but this will be Rick and Matt's big political saga for the autumn if you end up going for it.
Coming soon on Discussing Documentaries.
Matt going, well, countries smash planes into things all the time. What are you going on about it for?
Then we get introduced to the district attorney, Kevin O'Connor. And he arrests Jimmy. Not just arrest him, he gets 117 indictments against him. That's a lot of fucking indictments.
Here's the funny thing about America. Because they even say it as they're saying 117 indictments, it's like, if this shit is glamorized, we are going to throw fucking everything at it. Like, and they even say this is in the aftermath of The Sopranos, which we haven't mentioned. Jim's Galifianakis, what? Not Galifianakis. That's Zach Galifianakis.
Was it? Yeah.
Gandolfini.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gandolfini sent a signed picture to Jimmy Galante saying, "To the real Tony Soprano," and that's in his fucking office. When you go in there saying, "Sorry, I can't pick up the bins on Monday. I'm going to be ill." And this.
But even the DA, right, Kevin O'Connor, he said, "Listen, people find burning trash trucks irresistible, so we put that stuff all over the place when we indicted him." Because people would tune in to watch that, and they need to know we're bringing these people down, right? Because people need to understand in a society, crime doesn't pay. Even though for some people it really does. Like
it really seemed to pay off for the Galantes.
Yes.
And so within this sting, they took down the mayor of Danbury.
Yep.
The senator of Danbury asked Jimmy Galante to beat up his granddaughter's boyfriend. And
husband.
He's actually
husband.
The husband of a granddaughter, his grandson.
Yeah.
Which, oh my fucking god, like is.
And he gave a statement, didn't he? I know now, looking back, that was
he's
probably
in Congress
the wrong.
going,
yeah, in Congress, he's.
I admit it was probably poor judgment to talk to people with less than reputable ties to organised crime.
But he was being horrible to my granddaughter, so fuck him.
But vote no on Prop 37.
Yeah. They also brought down, so like everybody, right? Jimmy Galante seemed to have a boss, and his name was Horse Inialo, and he was one of the heads, it would seem. Yep, They brought him down as well.
And then, since they had the wiretaps, then they find out what's really going on with the hockey team. So the way they're able to get all these amazing players and do all this shit is they're all signed to jobs for the sanitation company where they don't turn up and they just get paid via these companies. So there is a cap on what you can spend in that league, and they are far exceeding that cap.
And they shut the team down. The team no longer exists. Go Trashers.
But
go Trashers.
The FBI agent that's you see at the beginning that's set on the code name Pale Rider. Jimmy hires him.
And apparently, the surprising thing about this was when the FBI agent went, yeah, so what they say, they call that in my business going over to the dark side, and a lot of us do it. Do ya? What's that? Because you're sick of your government-paid job and you want to work for the mob, because that's where the real money is.
Well, the retired got the pension, and then they do like consultancy work. I believe the Durst family did that for Robert Durst and the Jinx, and he went in because they have access to what evidence they have,
yes,
and then
they know people. Yes, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So that was really funny that you hired him. He's facing 93 counts, 100 years.
100 plus years, man. 100 fucking plus years. He must be at that age. What is he? 50 odd at that age?
50, 60, yeah.
Yeah. And he's looking at 100 years. Fucking hell.
And Jimmy is talking like Jimmy the Gent in Goodfellas. And he's just going, here's what I've learned about loyalty. The people you think will stick by you don't. The people who you don't do. And then it cuts to Brozel in his big chair, in his Las Vegas pad.
Yeah, and he says, listen, the Jimmy I know, he's a loving and caring man.
Wait there. So they take him, the feds take him and grill him for hours. They put him in a small room. And he says, they're trying to ask me, am I intimidated by Jimmy Galante? And all I kept saying was, I have nothing but respect for Jimmy Galante. He is an upstanding human being, and I definitely do not know of any wrongdoing.
Well, they grilled him, didn't they, for hours and hours, wanting him to snitch.
Yeah, they flew his brother in just to look at him in the courtroom.
And I like this, what he said as well, Brosa. He went, I'll tell you this about Jimmy. He's not a snitch. So there's people have got muck on other people, and it goes all the way around. There's circle jerking on the muck here.
And basically, so what the feds do, they decide, this is how we get them. We're now going to go for AJ. We're going to go for the son and try and indict him.
Yeah.
So then it cuts back to Jimmy in real time. So obviously, you're speaking to Jimmy in real time.
Yeah.
And at first, I thought Brozel might be in fucking witness relocation before he says that, where you see where he's sitting. But you see Jimmy, and he says, on advice of my counsel,
hang on. The reason he says that, right? Hang on. Sorry to interrupt you this time. The reason he says that, the director asks him a question, and he's been to the Rick Walton School of Interview Techniques, because he just looks at him for a second and he waits. He gives it a count of 3, and then he says, go on.
He says, on advice of my counsel, I'm not giving any speech to anything pertaining my cases. Now, whenever...
Cases, not case. Cases, yeah.
You're using the word pertaining, and in reforms to criminal law, you've hired a lawyer that costs upwards of £100,000. There's not many people around the Galante house saying the word pertaining on a daily basis. Yeah. And he says, I pleaded guilty to several charges and got 37 months.
No, 87 months.
Was it 87?
Yeah,
was it?
Which is about 7.5 years. And he served his time, I'm guessing, like a man, and he served it in a federal prison.
I bet they did it making fancy Italian meals every day, and well, they used to cut the onions with a razor. You know, it stunk up the place, but made a hell of a sauce.
But the only reason he pleaded guilty, because he said, listen, I don't believe the sins of the father should affect the son. And he goes, that's what was going to happen. So he basically, they threatened his kid, and he was like, okay, all right.
Okay, right. I'm facing 100 years and you're threatening my kid. I'll do it, and your parents still alive.
Yeah. And fair play to AJ, right? So he went on and lived just a normal blue-collar job life, right? He became a truck driver for 10 years.
Yep, became a truck driver, and then he starts up his own boxing promotion.
Yeah.
The famously non-mob-related sport of boxing.
I didn't make that connection. Yeah, good, nice one. Yeah. He said on his first night, which was on ESPN, the fans were booing him and his fighter. And he went, I loved it. I love it when... Because his whole thing was he was always rooting for the bad guy like his dad was. He goes, because no one ever cheers for the bad guy. And the whole Danbury Trashers was built around the fact they were the bad guys. And he goes, we built that team for the 1% of people who love the bad guy, because that's who we are. And it was so honest, right? They wore their heart on their sleeves. It was beautiful. It was just so beautiful.
His dad's first night out of jail, he had set up a boxing promotion for his dad to come to.
Yeah.
To show it, and then they start playing the Bugsy Malone Good Guys.
But they set it up in the ice hockey arena where the Danbury Trashers used to play. Yeah.
And
we could have been anything that we wanted to be.
And I love this. So you have, I mean, there's so much you can talk about each moment of this.
Yes,
hour and 26.
Yeah.
And so they have interviews from the fans that are just die-hard fucking fans to this.
Yeah.
And
that woman in her wheelchair and her husband.
Yeah, the fans in the section 102 have a reunion 15 years later. And this is how you know he loves wrestling, because they made a surprise visit to that to surprise them all. And that's a wrestler move right there. Just like, let's not tell them we're going. Let's just show up and get the huge cheer for being there. So they turn up and they have a laugh with all the fans, and it's just a feel-good moment. And again, the guy who they stuffed into fucking trunks of trucks and set fire to must be thinking, these guys are animals.
My wife and kids left me because I got PTSD. What the fuck?
There's a guy with his will that says he wants to be buried in his Trasher jersey.
Yep.
And showed the will to it.
Give a little love and it all comes back to you. Da 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 da. Yeah, it was awesome, man. A very schmaltzy ending as well, right? You got goosebumps, didn't you, at the ending? You're like, oh, go on, you villain, you little rogues. Go on.
You have Wingfield sat there and he's talking about, I wish I had Jimmy in my life for the rest of my life. Yeah. And then, was it Jimmy or AJ that surprised him in
Jimmy.
Because I couldn't, was it Jimmy? Because it was dark on my screen due to the sun glare. So then Jimmy turns up and they're both crying and stuff like that to see. He's crying to see him. It's fucking brilliant.
He goes, I never cry, but I will for Jimmy.
Did you see what Jimmy said to see how he met him? So he's going, I just wish I never got a chance to thank him. I haven't been in contact with him. And then what Jimmy's entrance line is, that he knew he would recognize him by saying this catchphrase.
No, come on.
He goes, are you looking for an ass kicking?
Oh, man, it was a great documentary. I smiled, I laughed all the way through it. I was just, I I started watching it on the way to the office job. I got to the office and I woke up at like 4 a.m. So I just thought, fuck it, I'm just going to go to work. So I got to the office.
You went to work at 4?
Yeah, well, I got up. I'd laid there for about 20 minutes and I was like, I'm never going to get back to sleep. Let's just get up and get on with the day. So I got to the office about 6:15 in the morning and they've got a huge TV and a sofa. So yeah, I just logged in my Netflix account, put my feet up and watched this. It was beautiful, man. It was just such fun. It was just really, really good fun. Even though it was about organised crime and people getting hurt, but it was funny, right? I was entertained. And going back to what you said, that's why you watch a documentary.
It is why I watch a documentary.
It's not always about learning or knowledge, is it? It's about being entertained as well. So give us your score then.
All right. Not only am I giving this a 5, there was the thing I disliked about it. There's nothing I disliked about this.
Oh my God.
Not only am I giving this a 5, but I'm taking 2 points off the Battered Bastards of Baseball. Because those guys with their fucking brooms can sit and watch this and realise this was an interesting fucking story.
Oh, mate, I didn't think you could shock me after all these years. Okay, I'm giving it a 5 too. Right, this is our first 10. Wow.
Is that the first 10?
That's the first. Well, no, we gave our Patreon stuff. It's good. Some of that stuff scores very high. But I think this is our first 10 in the regular feed.
Phenomenal documentary. So fun. It might as well be in a movie, which is what I want to see in it.
That's what I want to see next. Yeah. I want to play.
I don't need to see the movie.
I
don't want to see Vin Diesel playing Brad Wingfield. I've seen the real guy talk about losing a finger on the ice. I don't need to see that.
When he puts up his injuries, he's had more injuries than me. Yeah, I broke both my legs. I broke my ankle. Chipped my tibia bone. I broke 19 ribs. I've had these bones in my spine fused together. I had my nose broke. My skull got crushed. Fucking hell.
Fucking incredible. Like, absolutely awesome story. Couldn't have enjoyed it more. It was fucking...
Yeah, it's great, man. Yeah, so check it out. It's called... Let's give it one more shout. It's from the Untold series on Netflix, and it's called Crime and Penalties. Our first 10. Wow, you've shocked me, Rick. You really shocked me. What's coming up next, Rick?
We've got a few Patreon picks to sort out, and then also for we're either going to do Fahrenheit 9/11 or the new 9/11 docuseries.
Yeah, we couldn't find.
I think it'll be a good one.
We couldn't find Fahrenheit 9/11. It's just about to have because it's coming up to the 20-year anniversary.
I'm not sure that I want to watch Fahrenheit 9/11 for a very selfish reason.
Cool.
There is a lot of talk of Saudi involvement in 9/11, which I think is counterproductive to my wishes, hopes, and dreams.
Give a little love and it all comes back.
Yeah,
to
put the
you.
Bugsy Malone theme to fucking to Prince MBS.
Oh, good. Some Patreon shit or Fahrenheit 9/11. Right, sweet. I think that was an Aussie Sarah recommendation, which is
Fahrenheit.
Yeah, because she went, just so you know, they're re-releasing it, and that's why we can't find it because we were going to do that today, but
right. Well, it's you can rent it on Amazon for £4, I believe.
I couldn't find it on Amazon.
When I looked on Amazon itself,
that's 11/9. That's his second one.
Ah, fuck. Right. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to watch that one again.
Yeah. So that's not 9/11.
But I am looking for. I do think the new one on Netflix may be a better one to check with time in hindsight.
Okay, send me the link because I've got.
It's Netflix. It's like it's the first thing that comes up.
Oh right,
it's
okay.
9/11 before and after. It's called. So it's talking about the wars that came after it and everything regarding. I think it ties in well with what's going on in Afghanistan and all that.
Yeah.
Kind of
okay. All right. Well, let's get to it then. Okay. Well, thank you very much for listening. That was fun. That was a great hour. Thanks. And I'll see you later.
Yeah, back to Forced Confessions for you. Don't enjoy it too much.
No! Give a little love and it all comes back to you. Right.
That's what Brendan Dassey needs, a mascot with a trash can on him.
Yeah, his problem was he wasn't a made man. Right, see you later. Ta-da.
Take it easy.